Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well and staying safe. For this video we will be going through a unboxing of the Jupitive Gundam, and this was from Gundam Build Divers Re-Rise, released by Bandai back in 2020. First off, I'm trying a different headset, so feel free to leave commentary about the quality of the recording. Will be my first general disclaimer. As for the video itself, so this will be I guess from a planet side, it's the first of the outer rim planets for the general solar system. Not that that was a thing in the series. But if I remember correctly, this will be the last time that we have the Core Gundam before it becomes the Core Gundam 2 in the remaining planet options. So, the Jupitive Gundam was definitely a very good looking Gundam when it came along. You could tell it was basically a bit of a improvement over some of the previous planet armors that Hiroto had done, but no, it's definitely very, very cool. Wasn't expecting it to be white, but there you go. So there is the front of the box. Let me just see if I can change that. No, I just made it pop up more. Oh well. So front of the box, all CGI art, Jupitive Gundam. If we have a look at the bottom, so you've got the Core Gundam and the Jupiter armor. Armor consisting of the so the Jupiter. I was going to say Jupiter armor consisting of the Jupiter unit. Technically, it's the Jupiter armor on the Jupiter unit, which then combines with the core to make the Jupiter Gundam. So there you go. There you have that at the bottom. So obviously been the highlight of this protagonist set, where you have the two combining, and we've seen that in the previous ones such as Mars, Venus, Earth and Mercury, and to an extent the Alus as well. So shifting to the middle, just some pictures of its armaments, and then if we shift to the far right, bit of a hybrid suit there, using various docking customs. So we have bits of the Mars 4, bits of the V2, the Jupitive. In fact, it almost looks like it's the top bits of the Mars 4 on the middle section of the V2 with the limbs of the Jupitive, and I think there's a bit more of the V2 there, but yeah, it's a interesting combination. Other side of the box, once again, more CGI art. Same on this side, so we don't have any further representations of the actual kit itself. But if we do go down to this side, more so to the interesting parts, we do have a front and rear of the Jupitive Gundam there. And that is a very nice looking white, I will admit that. It does look very nice. Okay, so that is a look at the actual box itself. So with that now done, I will crack this open and pop will we find inside? We will find one bag, 2 bags, 3 bags, 4 bags of runners, and at the very bottom a instruction manual, which is always a given, of course. So 4 bags of runners, that's a bit of a, I'll say it's a little bit of a leap from the previous ones. I think they only had 3 at the most. But looking at the Jupitive already, I can see there's some runners with effect parts. I saw a blue stand in there as well, which is quite nice to have. So yes, it'll definitely be interesting to see what all of these runners have on them. So I will go ahead and crack open the plastic bags, and then we will have a look at the runners. Okay, so now that everything has been cut out of the bags, here we have the instruction manual for the Jupitive. So just like the other manuals, a nice top part of the top part of the front is the CGI art of the Jupitive, and very nice looking there. And then at the bottom, just a bit of bits of blurbs for Hiroto once again, the core Gundam, and the Jupitive, and the Jupitive there in its front-facing CGI style. It does look quite nice when I'm not banging into things. So that's the front. Looking at the back. So on the back we have more information about the various weapons that are included through the Jupiter armor. So there's a beam Gatling gun, if I pronounce it as I read it, I would pronounce it as the Manifo bit. May or may not translate into English very well. And then at the very bottom you've got information about the multi-container bit, which is obviously up here at the top, and then can separate into shields, beam weapons, etc. So that's kind of nifty. So that's the back. In terms of the actual, won't spend too long there, although we'll have a quick look at the parts list. So A, B, C and D are probably the same that we have seen for everything else. There's a E runner that will be interesting to look at, 2 Fs, one of which having the beam effects, stand, polycap stickers, and the beam saber parts. So that's pretty cool. Not a lot of X's as one would expect, so most of this will be used, bar a few parts of the polycap. In terms of the instructions, so this is pretty much the same as we've seen it before. The core Gundam, exactly the same, no real difference. Right through to also including its armaments, the stand, and then at the very bottom putting the dock and the Jupiter armor together. So much like the others, because the runners are pretty much the same, most of that armor will look pretty much similar to previous unboxings we've done. This section here in the middle is probably very unique to the Jupitive for its the beam gatling and the multi-containers. Legs, arms, those bits that I dare not try to pronounce again. And then goes over to the start of the color pages to finish that off. And at the bottom, starting the Jupitive Gundam instructions. So obviously very similar to previous instructions we've had regarding putting the armor on, the weapons, the multi-container bits, and the stand. So the stand isn't necessarily for the Jupitive, but hey, why not? It's included. And then you can obviously equip the multi-containers in various ways between the term is, I know I was going to say bits, but in this case it's large bits. Funnels, more like funnels. So that would be for the stand, and then for the other bits, more like hand gauntlets, and then some other stuff here. If you want to change its backpack configuration. So that was the manual for the Jupitive. So mostly the same, with some interesting variations to cater to the Jupiter armor. Like the others, there is a foil sticker sheet, so eyes, front and rear camera, whole section for the dock, and then the last sticker will be for, in this instance, the beam gatling. Looking at the runners, runner A will look very familiar. In fact, it's the same runner that we've seen multiple times. Majority of the runner is in white, with it's a form of red. It's not red at the bottom. At the top, it's a bit of a fluoro yellow, I dare say. Kind of reminds me of the GBN Gundam in its interesting bright colours. And then the chest V is in a nice translucent green. So that's the A runner that we're very well accustomed to. Next, B runner. All in white. Once again, we've seen this one before, so I won't stick on this one too long. That's the majority of the core Gundam, if not all of the core Gundam accessories. We have the C runner in dark blue / black. Once again, this is not new. We've seen it in pretty much every previous iteration of the core Gundam. And then lastly, in terms of revisited frames runners, we have the D runner, once again in a dark blue for the dock, and I should know what these parts are for, but I'm suddenly having a mental blank. I think it's the hands. New to the Jupitive, we have an E runner. Can I do it this way? So there you go, there's the E runner. I'll flip it back this way. So obviously these will be the parts unique to the Jupitive. So bottom left you can see the components for the beam gatling, middle being feet, bottom right for those shoulder weapons, or not shoulder, more forearm weapons. And then at the top here would probably be for the multi-container units. So that's a dark blue E. 2 Fs, which I will do together even though they are separate. So F1 and F2. Looking at F1, that's in a white. That's probably just to tidy up some of the armor components. For the weapons, middle piece here is most likely the new V-fin. Not too sure what's on the far left, but possibly shoulders? Yes, I'm going to say shoulders. As for the F2, so beam effects. So this will be to attach to the multi-container. Got some nice, very thick effects here, and then some beam effects to pop out of something. Now looking at, actually before I flick this off, looking at the connection on these, they will probably be a single purpose, unfortunately, but that's okay. I'm pretty sure I just made the camera very angry because it can't focus very well right now. Polycaps in, I think they're back to their usual grey, and we've seen this one consistently through. Beam sabers, SB9, so these will be the flat-ended beams. For some reason it looks like it has a bit of a curve in the beam, but these ones, from what I keep noticing through various kits, tend to warp relatively easily, but that's okay, it's no big drama. That's in a bit of a translucent pale pink, not an actual bright pink. And then lastly we have the, I'm guessing it's a BV0, but it's basically that nice little self-contained pseudo action base, which, you know, I quite actually like these little bases. One, because they're pretty much all self-contained, and you get a decent amount of height clearance with it. It's a shame that they're not included more often, but I guess this is just to give basic function, whereas your true action bases try to look a little nice in the process. So there we go. That was a look through of the Jupitive Gundam. So that makes the 5th planet system, or planet armor, done. So all that remains formally will be the Saturn, Neptune and Uranus sets. Uranus will probably be the first one I do after Jupitive, just to align myself to how the armors came through in the show. And obviously, given the time, it's well truly after Pluto was declassified as a planet, so there is no Pluto armor, which is unfortunate. It would be very interesting to speculate as to what a Pluto armor would have been. Looking at the remaining armors, so the Uraven was probably a significant overhaul from the Jupitive, which took various bits and pieces from the previous armors. The Saturn X was fairly purpose-built with its weapons, same as the Neptune, which took some very heavy stylings from the... Once again, it's on the tip of my tongue and I suddenly can't remember it. Stargazer Gundam, there we go. So, would have been interesting what a Pluto armor would have been. I'm guessing would have been the Plutine Gundam, to be mistaken with the Plutone from Double O. I don't know, I would be very curious to see what one would have been. Who knows, maybe I'll get the... Is it the Rise Gundam? Maybe stick that on a normal core, even though it comes with its own core. Call that the Plutine. Who knows? Anyway, that's pretty much done and dusted for the Jupitive. If you're following my Instagram, you'll know when I start building it. Hopefully at some point in time I'll start playing catch up on my review videos, because they're becoming a backlog on their own. But I did want to just try and keep pushing out some of these videos. Maybe even next month I'll slow down pushing out new videos, and well, new videos in the sense of unboxings, and try to go over some reviews. We'll see how it goes. Thank you very much for watching. Feel free to leave a comment down below and a like if you enjoyed this content. Subscribe if you wish to follow my channel and stay up to date with upcoming releases. Extra content can be found on my Instagram account, link in the description below. Once again, thank you for your support to help grow this channel. Please stay safe and take care, and I will see you all in the next video. See ya.